Welcome back to the Education Notebook. I'm Christy Facenda. For some people, managing money can seem like an impossible task. In reality, though, setting a budget, balancing a checkbook, and managing debt are skills everybody needs to have. And they need to start young. Our first guest has written a book that aims to teach children everything they need to know about money. We'd like to welcome Jill Russo Foster, author of Cash, Credit, and Your Finances. And Jill, quick overview, what's the book tell us?
The book is starting out telling teens about what they need to know about finances and the basics, starting with children and their allowances and getting into their first job, how to save part of what they earn for things they want, to go to the movies, iPods, so that they can live within their means.
And how did you get the idea for this?
I've been in banking and mortgages my whole career, and aside from my own personal mistakes, I'm seeing what people are doing with their credit and money skills that are hurting them in the long run.
What, you focus on teens. What specifically do teens, how do you start off talking to a teen about credit and finances and money and how you need to handle all of that?
More with the start of a purchase. A parent asked me the other day about a child wanting a brand new iPod, and she thought that money grew on trees and that she'd get one just because she asked. And we broke it down to, if you had to work at $6 an hour, how many hours could you work in a week with school, and how many weeks it would take you to get it, providing you didn't spend another dime. And the little girl was shocked.
I was going to say, what do they learn from that when you break it down into something that is basically, these are the amount of hours you need to work in order to do this?
Some of them start to think twice about wanting it, or maybe they'll wait a while longer for it. Just puts the money into reality for them.
Okay. And who really should read this? It's called The Teen Years, talking about finances and credit. I assume that it's not just aimed at teens.
Well, a lot of the people who have bought it are parents who are reading it with their teens, and they're making it a discussion over dinner and talking about what they've learned. It takes 5 fictional teenagers through different circumstances, in addition to the hard facts that maybe people don't want to know.
What are some of those circumstances that they're taken through?
The child that always needs to borrow money, doesn't have enough from their allowance or their job to do what they want. The other child who's a total saver and won't spend a dime.
What is the most common scenario that you hear from parents or from teens when it comes to money?
That there's not enough for what they want to do.
I think everybody agrees with that one.
Yeah. People need to, budget their money. In a few years, the teens will be heading off to college and on their own with their money, and they're starting to get into the real world of finance, where credit cards become involved, and they could get into serious trouble.
You mentioned teens. What age really should you start talking about this sort of thing?
Oh, I'd start talking 10 or 11. The book is more geared to teens, but there's no reason you can't start, because 10 and 11-year-olds want to do things and want money for things.
The problems that you're seeing now, the economic climate, everything that's going on, is it even a bigger reason to start younger?
Yes, definitely.
Can people avoid problems that way? We're talking about foreclosures, we're talking about credit card debt increasing. If you start talking at 10, 11 years old, this is the goal to hopefully avoid some of that.
Yes, definitely. Keeping your credit score as high as possible, and I touch on that a little. Credit and your credit score determine lots of things that you wouldn't even think of. If you'll get credit terms for a car loan, your first job, all that's affected by what you do with your credit and how responsible you are.
To take a step back a little bit, just a little bit about your background. You mentioned always worked in finances and banking. A little bit about where you come from.
I'm a Fairfield County native. Grew up here, working class family. Didn't have a lot of financial upbringing from my parents, and did get into credit card trouble in my 20s. Thought of it as a game, getting as many credit cards as I could have, because it was invisible money, and took many years to have to pay it off. So I'm very careful now about living within my means.
Okay, well, Jill, stay right with us, and don't you go anywhere either. We're going to learn more about children and their finances from author Jill Russo Foster just after this break.